Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Happy holidays. It is our annual Christmas party. Holiday, don't have holiday party. Oh, wow. Okay, correct. Anyhow, recovering from that, we're going to start today off with a wonderful inspiration. I don't have no announcements. It's a party.
Thanks.
So here, let me adjust it.
You all thought that was really too low, didn't you? It's not. I actually have a few quotes that I want to use as inspiration. We light candles in testament that faith makes miracles possible. Probably the reason we all go haywire at Christmas time with the endless, unrestrained, and often silly buying of gifts is that we don't quite know how to put our love into words. And the last one is, some Christmas tree ornaments do more than glitter and glow. They represent a gift of love given a long time ago. And I had a little ornament when my children were growing up. My mother bought them a Christmas ornament every year. I do that for my grandchildren, but she was much better at labeling, so we actually know who this was to and what year she gave it. And it was in 1988, which was her second to the last Christmas. Have a wonderful day.
And if everyone could please rise. If you have elf ears on or Santa Claus hats, take them off because we're going to do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm sorry that the people at home cannot partake of the Tim Hortons coffee and all the wonderful cookies here. But please come if you'd like some cookies. After, I guess we're gonna hang around for a few minutes after the meeting. But if not, see you here in person in the future meeting. Hopefully we have more cookies. I love cookies. With all the things about Christmas, cookies has to be my favorite. I've become a cookie making connoisseur. Without too much ado or fanfare, I'm going to introduce our champion of the day, our Toastmaster, the man who will make it happen, Dr. Charles Stevens.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and happy holidays. Great to see some smiling faces. We moved into the bigger room today. We have a Christmas tree here. You can't see it. We have decorations. We have some holiday things going on. I love it.
Can I ask a question quick that you announced who's in the room?
Yes, and I'm going to thank you so much. I guess since the last meeting, it's a little, it's not a bad thing to announce who's in the room. For the people online that might not be able to see them, and also maybe the people online so we can't see them because we can't see the whole gallery. So in the room we have Sylvia Baptiste, we have Jill Roaring, Steve Smith, Katie Banks, Christopher Banks, Beth Banks, Marty Johnston, Dave and Mike Licotta just rolled in. Eric Schneider's back. Welcome back, Eric. Nancy, Barry, and Tom held win or wine? Wine, thank you. I've never knew how to pronounce that. And Joe is back as our guest, I believe. So welcome back, Joe Budnak. Tally online that I have seen, and I may need help with this. Tom Moran, Jen Zappa, Phil Russell, Anne-Marie Lenhart, Larry McKenzie. Was there anybody else online?
Carol Halstead.
Carol Halstead, thank you. No Samir as of yet?
No.
Okay. Any announcements before I start? Katie has an announcement, probably not surprised.
Thank you. As VPE, I have three quick announcements. The first is Q1 is right around the corner. Jill is our Toastmaster next week. Thomas is our Toastmaster the following week. And then we still have yet to decide the rest of Q1. I will email that around instead, and I'll have a blank next week if you want to mark yourselves off. We also have the cards going around in the room. We've got some sympathy cards. Unfortunately, we lost Angela Campo's mom, Mark's mother-in-law, a couple weeks back, and Mike Florio's mom passed away. She was in hospice. And those cards are coming around, as well as some Christmas or holiday cards for our members we haven't seen in a while, Edna and Mike Reinbold, et cetera, Moklis, and so on. They'll come around. And then I have a thing I will pass around that the district sent me. And it's a thank you card. It wasn't just for me, it's for the club. And it says, well, it's a thank you for serving and being part of District 65. It's a little empty, crafty Toastmasters 2021 to 2022 ornament. If you have any ideas, they didn't suggest like what to put inside there. So I'll pass it around. I think we could turn this into a fun game or contest at some point next quarter. I have no idea. Take a look. Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Minds to work. I would be remiss not to mention former members that have passed. Marilyn Bean used to run this party, Ed Bird, and many others. So I'm going to do a toast to kind of honor them a little bit. So if we could raise our glasses. Wishing you more happiness than all my words can tell, not just for the holidays, but for the year as well. You're here. So Tom mentioned a bit about cookies. So I'm going to start my holiday party with a little story about cookies, actually, too. When I adopted 4 kids, most of you know that. So when they were much younger, my son discovered that there was a cookie disparity going on in Stephen's household. Shock of shocks. So apparently every day I had 5 cookies in my lunch, and my son had none. So he actually took the time to calculate the number of cookies per year that I had compared to the number of cookies he had per year in efforts to lobby for more cookies. He was successful, I will say. So I definitely gave him some that day. My wife has told the story to other people. My secretary told it to the other secretary this week. So apparently the story is making the rounds. But how did cookies become part of the holiday/Christmas festivities? Back in the 1930s, in the Depression, that's when it started in America. And it was a way to give, sorry. It was a way to kind of give back. So in the Depression, people didn't have things. So in honor to put food out for a less fortunate, possibly. Now it's kind of put out for Santa, right? So Santa's, a little portly, so maybe he's not a less fortunate kind of guy. So, but that's in America. So he gets cookies and there's always a carrot for the reindeer, right? But in other countries, they give out other things. So in Ireland, they leave Guinness out for Santa. That's interesting. In France, they leave wine out for Santa. In Germany, they just leave out letters, much more, in my opinion. In England, they leave out sherry and mincemeat pies. So you have to wonder that Santa might be kind of sloshed when he's kind of wandering around the world, if you think about it a little bit. But good for him. He's having a good time. Maybe his back hurts. Who knows? So I wanted to share that with you guys. Today, we're going to actually do the arrangement of speakers a little different. We're going to do speakers first, and we'll do the table topics last. And everybody should get a chance to talk today. But I do want to roll into my role players. If we could get the word of the day from Sylvia Baptiste.
The word of the day is soiree. Soiree? Correct. Oh, an old-fashioned small party held in the evening at a private house often include music performance.
Try to use the word soiree as much as you can today with your favorite topics and anything you say today. I'm going to eliminate the tech and gesture master today. That's my favorite role anyway. Marty did volunteer on mine, but he's actually going to take up the odd master role today. But the next on my list that I have here, the agenda, is the quiz master. So Anne Marie Leonard, could you tell us your role, please, online?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'll be the quiz master today. Listen carefully for any trivia or interesting facts, and I'll be quizzing you later on. So listen up.
Thank you, Anne Marie. And our quote master, Carol Ann, you have a quote for today for us? Can you hear us, Carol? Are you muted, Carol?
Okay.
There you go. Thank you.
There's nothing cozier than a Christmas tree all lit up, as you can see behind me. Andy Rooney said, one of the most glorious messes in the world is the mess created in the living room on Christmas Day. Don't clean it up too quickly. And now this is from Shirley Temple. I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was 6. Mother took me to see him in a department store and he asked for my autograph. And one more, this is attributed to Bob Hope, who of course made Christmas special for troops around the world. My idea of Christmas, whether old-fashioned or modern, is very simple: loving others. Come to think of it, why do we have to wait for Christmas to do that? Mr. Toastmaster.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol. Len Thornton is our timer. Can you tell us the timing duties, Len?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Everybody knows the drills. We've all been here before. I'll be controlling this light here. Larry, if you could kind of puppet my timing on the online members, because despite our best efforts, this doesn't show up on the camera. And I'd also like to make a second toast today, if I could. To all the delivery people, those delivering the last mile, USPS, FedEx, UPS, and of course, Amazon, and all the seasonal drivers that are really busting their butts to get all our stuff there as we sit home and click away to do our shopping. The last milers.
Nancy Ferris or Marion. What is your role, Nancy?
There are a lot of ways to captivate our audience when we're speaking. One of them is the use of grammar. I like to make the analogy of a Christmas stocking. We go down in the morning if you celebrate Christmas, but I remember there were things in my Christmas stocking, socks, an orange, the traditional things that were always there. I anticipated them. Then there were those delightful, exciting, the things that piqued my interest that were wrapped just a little bit different. And then there was the coal. And if you kind of know what I mean, you don't want to get the coal. And it can captivate your audience to use grammar that isn't exciting adjectives, the things that are improper use of the language, you'll get your attention. However, you don't get their interest. So I would love to hear some wonderful adjectives today and just leave the coal out. Thank you.
I love it. Our awe master today is Marty Johnston. He's already walking up here. I love that too.
Morning, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters near and afar. As I'm master this morning, I have an important role of listening very carefully to everyone that speaks during the meeting, and especially noting any ahs, ums, or pregnant pauses. And the reason for my role is to enable us to be cognizant of the fact that we may be using these words. Then when we're in public or in a different setting, hopefully we're less likely to use them and sound more. Dave, is this okay if I say edumacated? I think I've heard Dave Licotta say that. So we sound more, so we sound more like a Toastmaster. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Still Russell that says that. We had a correction in the back. Samir, are you online yet? No Samir. Okay. Eric is going to do a jest for us today. He is prepared. Come on down.
All right, knock knock joke. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Donut.
Donut who?
Donut opened this presidential Christmas. Oh, what's another one? I probably okay. What did Adam say the day before Christmas? It's Christmas Eve. There you go. That Thomas got it right.
What do you say?
It's Christmas Eve. Who delivers presents to baby sharks at Christmas? Santa Jaws. All right, that's it.
Definitely use the word soiree as much as you can. Easy for me to get it in. Well, we should start these speakers today. Jen Zappa is our evaluator 1, and our first speaker is Chris. Jen, do you have some information on her speech for us?
Chris will be giving her icebreaker today, and I'm excited to hear it. This is her first time speaking with us, I believe, and she is one of our newest members, although I'm not so sure if she's the very newest member. She's done several other roles with us, and I'm excited to hear her icebreaker. Do you have her title?
I think the title is Icebreaker. That's what it said online. So she just named it right after this topic, which is awesome. Super simple. And her time traditionally is 4 to 6 minutes, Mr. Timer, but for the first one, we're not so strict about it. That's no cheapers. Okay, please welcome Chris for her first speech.
And good morning. I'm gonna try and set this up so that it doesn't fall. Perfect. Okay. Good morning. William Shakespeare wrote, "All the world's a stage." My first stage was at my grandmother's church in South Buffalo, where they would hold big musical productions that would raise funds for their church. And these would have elaborate costumes and set designs. And there was a lot of pictures. I have pictures of my parents singing to each other on a park bench. My mother and her 4 sisters in sailor costumes singing Honey Bun from South Pacific. Group ensembles from small 3 or 4 gatherings to the whole cast. And there, sitting on someone's lap, is me, cute and adorable, smiling at age 1, wearing a sombrero at age 2, standing the little princess between my mother, the queen, and my father, the king. That same grandmother and grandfather would have large Christmas parties, a larger soiree, I would say. And at these parties, you were required to do something musical, whether singing or playing an instrument. There was no getting out of it. You stood up in front of everybody and you did your best. There was singing, group ensembles, solos, duets, trios. There was also music. I remember drums, the flute, trumpets, piano and organ, which my grandmother played, and the clarinet, which I played not so well. Music weaves throughout the story of my life, but where I feel it the most passionately is through dance. And that passion has led me to so many stages, given me skills that I could apply to so many performances. I love to dance, and I'm always dancing. So it's a good thing my parents put me in dance school at age 4 at Miss Diane's School of Dance in Newfane. I started in the preschool program where we did ballet and tap. And at our annual dance recital, I was, I believe, a flower for ballet and a leopard cat for tap. I grew up in that studio, watching the older students perform, wanting to be them, dance like them, do the solos and the duets and all that came with it. So I was very excited when I was able to walk from school to the dance studio. That meant that I could go and practice whenever I wanted to, because the studio was shared a building with a sewing company, we'll call it. And there was a connecting door, so I could get there without having to have a key. So I could go into that studio and practice and dance to my heart's content. I was a student there through my senior year of high school. And when I went off to college at Fredonia, I came back for a few recitals, dancing with my sister at some of those shows. While at college, I took several classes whenever I could. I took a more advanced ballet class. I took Afro-Caribbean class, which just blew my mind. It was so different from anything else that I had done. I also took some theater classes because this was Fredonia. Fredonia is a theater college. When I decided that I could not be an English teacher, and I decided that going to UB North for libraries and information science, my dance teacher called me and said, "Hey, what are you doing? Are you staying local? I need help at the studio. I need an assistant. Would you be interested?" Oh, yes, I am. So I started as an assistant with the preschool program, which included a lot of singing, all the way through teen jazz and tumbling. I helped with it all. Eventually getting my first class that I was able to teach for myself, and to watch my students doing my choreography, dancing on that stage. It was fabulous, and I loved it. I also danced myself as well. Had to dance teachers dances, solos, duets. I taught dance and tumbling at Diane's School of Dance for over 20 years, including skills that would be useful in life, such as the ability to perform in front of an audience without showing how nervous you are, whether on a stage at a dance recital or at a lecture in front of a group of people you're just getting to know. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that speech. Our second evaluator is Mike Licotta. He is in the house. He is walking up here, and he is evaluating Eric Snyder today. What is Eric going to talk about today, Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Good morning. Eric is speaking out. He's doing an elective project, I think, out of the third part of Pathways. The project is, it's the speaking with storytelling speech this morning. His project is to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Mr. Timer, his time is 5 to 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Come on down. Let's hear your speech today. Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, good morning, and to everybody on Zoom, Merry Christmas. Now, you're all wondering what they're talking about today. Well, I'm going to talk to you about how I managed to make through my first semester at Canisius, which was one of the most exciting, challenging, nervous, and rewarding feeling that I had to endure this semester, which I will now check off as a bucket list. Let me break it all down for you. January, Kate and everybody were all at a friend's house in their garage having a nice little get together, and they were like, Eric, Canisius offering you free education, go for it. So I'm like, I had to think about it, and then I made the announcement through Facebook saying, as of fall 2021, I'm going back to school. Yay! Thank you. So there was a lot of process to go into getting back into the schooling, how I have to, register, how do I have to send my transcripts from high school to Canisius. I had to make some phone calls. And then now the whole thing started putting into motion. I went through the meetings. I had to go through freshman orientation, which was weird. Being as a almost 29-year-old kid going back to school and being around like 18 to 22-year-olds. But I felt more comfortable because I know I'm in good hands, and it was smooth sailing from there. But then came the first day of classes. Mike and Kay joined me for breakfast. They were giving me pointers. They were giving me some reassurance. And thanks to Kay for writing stuff down in my notebook, like read the syllabus, drink water, which I need to continue doing that because I've been drinking like flavored drinks and soda or pop. Everybody can debate on that later. But it's like all that nervousness kept coming back, bottling up inside, and I'm like, but then time went on, I felt more relaxed, and I managed to go through the whole semester with some panic attacks. I will have to admit, panic attacks were not what I had to endure, especially I'm going to pass these around, these English papers I have not done in 10 years. So I'm going to pass these around, and if you guys want to read the whole thing, go ahead, but just flip through if you want. But that was for English class. I haven't been in an English class in 10 years. So this was a relearning experience. So was one of the most challenging times I had to do, but they offered the Writing Center. What the Writing Center does is they had a student tutor to help you, guide you on the path and how you can make an essay look better than what you have done, and actually pointers like making how to do an MLA format, how to put words, how to translate the words that you want to put into your essay. So I thought that was very good, and I give a lot of credit to the student tutors who have helped me this semester. Now I go into digital media. That's what I'm going for, digital media arts. It's fascinating what you can do with programs and learning the new software that I have never used before. So the first part is, anyway, the first software we used was Adobe. Has anybody used Adobe Photoshop before? Has anybody have you heard of Adobe Photoshop? Okay. So what we did was we used a template that my professor gave us, and
we did like a t-shirt template. And I made it of our Toastmasters club. And it was a hard process to do because I'd never used something like that before in my life. Anyway, and so we use that, and we use this also. I'm trying to figure out how to put the picture onto a t-shirt and the wording on that. I'm like, how am I supposed to do this? But I used we had to do a blog post for doing something like, okay, what do you think of this project? I go, let me think about that for a moment. This was hard, but I will use the software again in the future if I can learn more of it and explain it more better, which she did, but I think more because it's an intro to DMA class, but it was just a little bit hard as well. So we learned more of Adobe Photoshop. We learned about Unity. Unity is a gaming, you design your own games. And we like watching a video via YouTube, and I'm like, this looks pretty cool. Well, then when you have to make it yourself, that's when you have trouble. And that's when you're like, oh boy. Yeah. But luckily I stayed after class, to have my professor, put me down the right path, because they have a DMA lab where you can use your computer and show you with a USB, well, not USB, a flash drive, which this was like $36 at Walmart. And luckily it like saved it, and then you had to post it on Google Drive so you can be graded. But something like that has really fueled my desire to, and so that was one of the toughest parts of DMA class was editing. When you're editing a video, which was our final project, was video editing. How can I explain this? You have to put what pictures, how are you going to put the music in? How are you going to put so much things in and make it into a nice movie? So luckily we use Adobe, because why not? So we use this thing called Adobe Premiere. We put pictures onto the screen, and you had to apply your own music. So I thought that was something of the ordinary, but I think using that system again, I think that will be a fun thing to use down the road. Now, what am I doing next semester? 2D and 3D graphics is what I'm going to be using next semester. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a part 2 to the story. Mr. Toastmaster.
Our third evaluator today is Dave Licotta. Dave, come on down. Good morning, Dave.
It's my privilege this morning to evaluate Jill Roaring. First time I evaluated her oh so long ago, my first question was, gee, Jill, what took you so long? You've been a guest for like, I don't know, 13, 14 years. And she gave her first speech, and we found out she was a natural. And we intend to see the progress today. And I have no doubt that there will be progress. This is the purpose of her speech. This project is for the member to identify his or her primary leadership style or styles. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of his or her primary leadership style or discuss leadership styles in general. I have the title, or would you care to give the title?
Yes, please do.
All right. I have not been so excited about a title since I found out that there was a movie called Santa Claus versus the Martians. This is Santa Claus versus Toastmasters. Jill Roaring.
Check it off one.
Set it on the phone.
Don't start timing this, to take me a second to set up. Visual aids here. Everything going okay?
Yep.
We got it? Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, and yes, with Joe Budnak as a guest, but I don't know if he qualifies as a guest. Yes.
Still qualifies.
Or we have to get Margot to pay his dues, one or the other.
Check your mic, you may not hit the switch on there. There you go.
Toastmasters teachings wants to put our leadership styles and techniques into specific categories. I think most of us have already done a variation of this speech. I don't believe any of us fit neatly into the classifications. I recently took the leadership style test again. My scores were almost completely different from what they were the first time. Something that scored last the first time scored tied for second. If my results could have as much variation as they did, how are we ever supposed to figure this out? It's going to take us a while to figure out how to improve. So I wonder if there's someone we can all look to who checks off all the perfect boxes in a leadership self-test. And I decided that there was some.
Okay, enough of that. So how does Santa Claus fit into all of these classifications? There's no doubt that Santa Claus has significant leadership skills and qualities. After all, what other leader gets imitated by millions of people, has lasted for 1,751 years, according to my research, has been sanctioned by the Roman Catholic Church, satisfies millions of children every year, and gets tracked by NORAD every December 24th and 25th. I mean, none of us get that. Not only does Santa Claus manage a full production facility and team at the North Pole, but he also is the world's greatest logistics master, accomplishing in a 24-hour period a feat that no one else can do. Okay? All the while maintaining the most positive public relations department in history. How does he do it? Which leadership styles does he use? It turns out he uses a blend of leadership skills and leadership styles. He is one of the most loving and giving people in history, but also uses a few coercive techniques for specific purposes. As we all know, you better watch out, you better not cry. In the democratic leadership style from Toastmasters, he's comfortable allowing others to occasionally take the lead, such as Rudolph. He motivates by providing opportunity for participation. So all the elves do their work. He needs reindeers. Authoritative, not so much, but he does motivate by inspiring enthusiasm for the mission. And he gives clear directions and set standards. There's no doubt about that. Altruistic. He leads in order to better serve others. I think that's a definite. He motivates by empowering an ethical approach. If anybody's ethical, it's Santa Claus. He focuses on active listening, empathy, and commitment to building community. Pace setting. He expects those who lead to embrace new projects and move with speed. He focuses on productivity. Wouldn't get all this stuff done without a good set of elves working. He motivates by setting high standards of performance and then leads by example. He does not feel it necessary to communicate a lot of detailed instructions. All those elves working, it'd be tough to do this. Bureaucratic. He motivates by discipline and demands immediate compliance. And he is most effective because decisions have to be made in a short amount of time. Sometimes the kid has probably been not too good until the absolute last minute. But somehow they all get forgiven. I don't, the whole thing is quite a joke, but there's a few other ones that he does. In the coaching, there's a lot in the coaching. And the affiliative, there's a lot in the affiliative. But I'm going to finish up by saying, maybe instead of trying to fit the round pegs of our leadership styles into the square holes of leadership, we should all just try to emulate the success of Santa Claus. Merry Christmas, everyone. Chris, I never took dance classes.
There's still a chance.
There's still a chance, Joe.
Thank you so much, all our speakers today. Before I go into the timers report, I did notice that I neglected one role that is left empty. Maybe it's because they evaluate me. I don't know, it's possible. Is there anyone possibly online or here that would like to be a general evaluator? I think Tom Moran doesn't have a job. I'm leaning towards him. What do you think, Tom? I wanted to fill that slot right before we do the evaluations.
Yes, did you ask me to become the general evaluator?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh, my. Yes,
no
I've
pressure.
been evaluating the meeting ever since it started, so
I
yes,
have a
I will do
feeling
that.
he might be. Tom is that kind of guy. He's observant. Well, I appreciate that. So he will be our general evaluator. Tom, can you tell us what you're going to do today?
Well, let's see, I'm going to evaluate the evaluators and I'm going to evaluate the general tenor of the meeting and then make my report when you call on me. And I'll do whatever else you ask me to do, of course, because that's who I am and Christmas is that time of year. So
Thank you for stepping up.
thank you, Mr. Toast.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Mr. Timer, could I get a timer's report on our speeches today?
Mr. Toastmaster, Chris Banks in her icebreaker spoke for 5:25, falling within the parameters on her first speech. Eric Snyder went a little bit long, 7:39, just missing, and Jill was on time, 6:56. Mr. Toastmaster.
Being that it's a holiday party, there is no need to vote today because all of our speakers are winners today. And there will be a present, I think I mentioned before, for the speakers today, all three of the speakers. So we'll give that at the end, but also there'll be a present for the winning evaluator and also the best table topics. If I have to mail them, I will do so, depending on who wins here. So no need for a vote today. Evaluator number one, Jen, are you ready to do your evaluation?
I am.
All you.
All right, thank you. And thank you everyone, and thank you mostly Chris for giving us your icebreaker. I know the icebreaker is typically the most difficult speech you'll give in Toastmasters, and I don't know if you felt that today, but you brought a lot of excellent skills with you, so it wasn't obvious if you did at all. First off, you got up, you were dressed very festively today, and you looked like you were ready to speak in front of an audience. You did very well with your pacing and your vocal variety. I thought you brought a lot of great skills. There are sometimes tendencies the first time you speak to rush or to pause. You seem to have a really great flow in your speech today. And I thought that was really excellent, especially considering this is the first time that we've had to hear you or gotten to hear you speak in a formal speech like this. You worked in a lot of excellent hand gestures. I know you had the handheld mic, but even still, you did really well working in those hand gestures. And you used the mic really well, which makes me wonder if you've had a lot of opportunity to use the mic in the past, probably considering all of the stage time you've had. So those things you brought, those skills to the speech, and they made your speech much more effective. So excellent job. I think overall, the structure of your speech was really great as well. You told us from childhood, the first time you'd gotten on stage, and you built in all these other times that you'd been on stage. And I thought that was really great. So a couple of notes to make your speech even better and more effective next time. And one of those is when you get up, I think at first you were like, oh gosh, I have to get set up, and you let all of that come out. You don't have to let that come out. You can just take a minute and breathe and set yourself up. And that seems like it took 10 minutes in your brain, but it really took 5 seconds. And we wouldn't have even noticed if you just paused and breathed into it. Now, after you started speaking, a lot of that nervousness evaporated, but some of it still came out, and we noticed that in your rocking. So one suggestion is to figure out if you can plant your feet. It seems so uncomfortable the first time you do it, especially if you're a movement person, but just relax into that, be still, and let yourself be present with us. And I think that will come out more effectively. And if you absolutely cannot plant your feet because you are a movement person, just try to walk out and pause and walk a little more and pause. So those are a couple of ways you can try to let go of that nervous rocking. One other comment that I had, I love your closing so much. I loved how you brought it back to us and how all of your past skills helped you deliver this speech to us. But I did wonder if there would have been a way you could have built in the lesson early on in the speech with from the time of the church plays and the music with your grandma and the lessons that you got out of each of those places. And I think that your closing could have been even more impactful than it was if you'd built that in throughout the speech. Overall, your icebreaker really wasn't an icebreaker in the traditional sense because you brought so many great skills with you, but it was an icebreaker in the sense that we did get to know you and you did a really excellent job. Thank you.
Second evaluator, Mike Licotta. Come on down.
Mr. Toastmaster. Good morning again, fellow Toastmasters and our guest Joe this morning, and especially Eric. We gotta get used to this. It's a good thing to get used to because we moved into the big room, so this is going to lend itself to a lot more gestures. We can move out from behind the lectern, and Eric, I think you did a good job of that this morning. I think it was more impactful. It's going to help us grow as speakers. We are going to improve, but also it brings with it a new challenge of distractions. And it kind of echoes in here. I don't know if the mic at home, I don't know if it can be picked up for the people on Zoom, but I know that something we're going to have to get used to in this room is definitely distractions because there's a lot of noise coming from a bunch of different sources, and it's something that we're all going to have to get used to. Eric, thank you for bringing us on this journey. I know that you did something that I probably couldn't do, which is go back to school for any reason whatsoever, because there's a point where once you get done with it, that you don't feel you can learn anymore. And I have to give you a lot of credit for going back, especially after 10 years, because I know a lot of military personnel do it that way. So I think that I have to give you a lot of credit because it's never easy to go back into that setting. I know it brought up a lot of old stress for you, and I give you a lot of credit for going back. I think it was smart to only take a couple of classes because it made the transition easier. My next suggestion for you is after the spring semester is that look into taking summer classes too, just so you're not, summer classes are already a little bit easier because they're online, so it's less in person, it's less driving up to Canisius, and it's easier for you. Now, I would also too, is that something that I think we all need to learn and get more comfortable with is make sure that you have good pauses. One of the things I did notice listening to your speech today is that there were a lot of and likes as your connector, because we think that we have to keep talking for some reasons. We have to put these connector words that we stop listening for every time we speak. So if you go back and watch the video, I encourage you to do that because it's important to take your time. And the other, try to ignore the light, because once you do all the preparation work that you do, you have to rush the ending because you're paying more attention to the light. So you're trying to find an ending versus making sure that you make all your points. So maybe next time, instead of doing 2 speeches, maybe you can stretch this out into 3 speeches, because you've always done such a good job of in preparing for speeches. just make sure that maybe next time, to make it easier for you, cut it into 3 speeches and time it out a little bit better as you practice at home. That is my evaluation.
Our third evaluator is Dave Licotta, and he is already on his way up to give his evaluation of Joe Roaring's speech. Round of applause, please.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and it's great to see Budnak back. High time. Well, this is all about Jill. And the first credit, the first kudos, she used the title to rope us in. I was intrigued. I shared that with you at the beginning when I explained your goals for the day. So I love that. Thank you very much. And also, this is a holiday party. She was clever beyond belief because she worked Santa. She wove Santa into the speech like a fixture. And we couldn't help but notice how clever that was. Great choice. Of course, I would like to stand here and say, gee, Jill, you should have made a reference to Santa being on WBEN 600 years ago. But then I remembered you're so much younger than me, so there was really no point. Now, what I want you to work on is a little bit of editing, because I want to give you incredibly high marks for the artwork of Santa and the use of the music. And the music reinforced the artwork. It was terrific, but you could have edited it down a little bit, because there isn't a person in this room that doesn't know the lyrics to that song. So you could have cut it off a little bit quicker. So then you put on the headset, you came forward, and much to my chagrin, you went back and got behind the lectern. In the future, just stay out there, work the stage, go from upstage, downstage, left and right stage, live it up, have a good time. Now, to round this up, great use of art and music, except I did mention the music could be a little shorter. Excellent use of humor. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, Toastmasters, non-Toastmasters, our founder, Ralph Smedley, said, we learn in moments of pleasure. So every time you work humor into your speech, you're going to get your point across quicker. It's going to stay with you. And speaking of Ralph Smedley, he started in a YMCA, and here we are in the YW.
Progress.
But that was an excellent ending. Normally you get up here and say your ending could have been better, but that was great. Jill, thank you so much.
At this time, Mr. Timer, can I get a timer's report on all our evaluators?
You may indeed, Mr. Toastmaster. I'm pleased to report all 3 of our evaluators qualified at the soiree today. Jen just sneaking in at 3:30 with the buffer, Mike Licotta with the buffer, 3:21, and Dave at 3:22. Mr. Toastmaster.
Evaluators did qualify. I did neglect to mention that you could use the ballot today to write some love notes or recommendations to our speakers for the future. future. Some encouragement isn't the worst thing in the world, and a few words of improvement if you are not the evaluator. So please do that today. Normally, we don't ask for a word master's report, but I'm going to ask for a word master's report at this point because I kind of, no, not going to. Okay, we're not going to ask for it. Okay, the word is not doing well. So let's do better on the second half of the meeting. So Len and I have been the only two people that have used the word soiree since we're having a great soiree today.
Chris did in our icebreaker.
Chris did, okay. So we got an extra one there. Well done, Chris, especially in an icebreaker. So while you're writing a few comments, let's talk about a few other holidays that are going on in the month of December. Hanukkah goes on, 8 nights and days. A candle is lit for each day in the menorah, typically at sundown. Hanukkah songs are sung, games of dryle are played, food is had each night, and a blessing is usually said over the candles. Many families also exchange gifts on that night. So a little history on that. Kwanzaa is another holiday that goes on. Starts December 26th through January 1st, culminating in a community feast. Started in 1966 after the Watts riot. Did not know that, so I looked into it. Typically an African-American holiday. So if you ask Africans about Kwanzaa, they'll have no idea what you're talking about, probably. That's what I think is going on. Use candles to celebrate 7 days. Each candle has a symbol. It means something. So unity, self-determination, collective responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, creativity, and faith. Others. African garb can be worn. Drumming and music may be part of the celebration, and libations are most likely involved as well. So a little information on different holidays going on this month. At this point in the program, I think we're going to roll into table topics. Katie, are you ready? All right, please welcome Katie Allen.
Track of the time, so. Thank you again, Mr. Toastmaster, and good morning again, fellow Toastmasters. No guests today. Did anyone else join on Zoom since we announced who's on Zoom? I just want to give everyone the opportunity to speak, although I have some contestants I have chosen already. It looks like it's the same. Excellent. And if you don't have a role today, expect to be called upon if we have the time. I'd love to call on Phil Russell first. I see him basking in the sun in Lake Ontario. And Phil, can you hear me? It looks like he can hear me. I love your hat. I can't hear him though. He's on mute. Oh, Phil, you need to unmute yourself. That's not Len's job or Larry's, I think. I'm looking to Len to solve all problems by magic. Are you there, Phil?
Yes, I am. Did somebody unmute me?
I don't know. You're unmuted. Phil, I have a question for you, and please use the word of the day. All of our contestants, soiree, so Sylvia can hear it be used to its fullest. Phil, do you have a favorite Christmas cookie or dessert? Phil Russell.
Yes, Madam Topics Master, before I get started, I have to bring up a topic for next week. All 4 participants are here, myself, you, Lenny, and Jill. I wanted to give a speech next week, and I need you as my evaluator, but you're listed as timer, and Lenny is listed as my evaluator. And if it's all right with Jill, you and Lenny, could you switch roles so that you can evaluate me again, because that's part of the second speech I'm giving.
Excellent. Thank you, Phil. I apologize for not answering that email you very efficiently sent a week or 2 ago. I agree. I'm supposed to evaluate you again. So we'll restart the time.
All right, now.
All in agreement. Okay, go ahead.
My favorite soiree in the Southwest. 2 of them. Christmas Day, Tempe, Arizona, coming up from Tucson. One of the first Fiesta Bowls. Penn State, Ohio State. Great Fiesta Bowl, great Fiesta. I don't remember the score. I don't remember what happened, but I know it was a great game.
And boy, the Mexican food that day was great. We had a wonderful time. The second one was a soiree coming out of Tucson, Four Corners, one of my favorite places in the world because of Monument Valley, up through Moab, right into Aspen, Colorado to visit with my sister Lisa. Ah, that soiree. It started with, because my sister's birthday is the day after Christmas, it started with Christmas, having a wonderful party, pub crawling. The next morning, we ended up at a place with a great Bloody Marys, and then off to Buttermilk to do some skiing. And what a wonderful trip that was. Then ending at the old Hotel Giroux. What a cowboy bar that was. No longer that way anymore. It's very upscale. And of course, you have to have their famous coffee Giroux, which is a treat unto itself. I don't know if they still serve it, but in those days it was tremendous. After a day of skiing, there's nothing like a great cup of coffee Giroux. There are some secret ingredients. I do know, though, that there was some alcohol involved, coffee, whipped cream, some kind of spices on top. But oh my, what a wonderful day that was. If you really want to do it, you can't go back because the old cowboy bars in Aspen are gone. It's all upscale, no longer the atmosphere of a cowboy bar. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you, Phil. Our second contestant today will be Joe Budnak. Welcome back, Joe. You're going to come up here and you're going to use the microphone and talk really have to get close to it so that the folks on Zoom can hear you. So come on up and we'll get the light turned off. And your question is, watch your step. At Christmas, would you rather have a foot of snow or no snow? Joe, you smart.
Thank you. Little closer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm kind of a traditionalist. I like the idea of a white Christmas. So Christmas Day, a foot of snow, because obviously I have Christmas Day off and I don't have to drive in it. But as soon as Christmas Day is over, no snow. Because I'm a nervous driver and I don't like driving in snow. I have never been in an accident before, anything like that, thank God, but it is the scariest feeling in the world when you put on your brakes and your car just keeps right on going like it's got a mind of its own. Yeah, it's the most scariest feeling in the world. So like I said, I'm kind of a traditionalist. I like the idea of a white Christmas, but then once Christmas is over with, I'm waiting for spring to get here. And maybe Easter, because I like Easter too, along with Christmas, yeah. So fortunately, yeah, it looks like we're going to have a white Christmas this year. And I am looking forward to having a week off because I am currently working in Charles Upson as a teacher's aide full-time, which I really like. The kids were looking forward to having a week off. I'm sure when they come back, they're going to be little terrors after having a whole week off, but that's okay. That's kids for you. They're doing good. There's maybe one or two in our class that we're ready to ship off to a Turkish prison, but for the most part, they're doing well. The kids are doing well. It's a combination kindergarten, first grade, so it's going well. I love my coworkers. I like the job. So far, so good. And God willing, this will be a job I retire from. So happy holidays to everyone. Thank you. Soiree this morning too, very much so. Thank you.
Bravo. Jackie, Kenny, you're up next. Jackie, I know, just take your time. I'll ask the question. So taking a trip down memory lane in Toastmasters on our holiday parties. Tell us a little bit of what you think of, some of your memories, unless you need to take a call. Not now. Welcome to the lectern, Jackie Kenny. Share with us the memories of Lockport at Christmas.
That was my reminder to wake up my friend who has to get ready for a funeral this morning and wasn't sure her alarm clock would work. So she's nervous about that. You know, you do what you do. We have had so many wonderful soirees over the years. I've been in this club since 2004, and I've enjoyed every single Christmas party, holiday party, whatever. All of the stories that we've gotten from people celebrating the things that they like to do, all of the wonderful cookies that come. We like to share our treats. I think this time of year is memorable for so many reasons. We love the holiday seasons, what they embody, what they mean to each of us individually, and also the memories that come back. Most of us here have had parties that were run by Marilyn Beam, and I say run because that's what she did. We miss her presence, but we also remember all of the fun times we had with her and some of the other Toastmasters that aren't with us anymore. The 12 days of Christmas was always a biggie and brought a lot of laughs. So I think I'm happy to see so many faces here this morning. I was late because I'm also going to that funeral and I just couldn't charge myself up early this morning. So have a happy Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Kwanzaa, and anything else that you want to celebrate. Feel free to let loose and enjoy whatever soiree you're attending. Thank you, Kate.
Jackie, for that trip down memory lane. Steve, you don't have a role, correct? We have time for two more, I was told. So Steve is up next. Which, because I know you enjoy films, which film do you think best captures the essence of Christmas and why? Steve Smith.
Thank you, I think. Now, I'm not big on Christmas movies, but to me, the one movie that epitomizes Christmas is the 1950 whatever version of A Christmas Carol with Alistair Sims. He's black and white. He is the perfect Ebenezer Scrooge. He goes from being a total Paul to and the transformation is a lot more subtle in some versions where it's almost unwatchable watching him go get so giddy happy and everything. So I always like that particular version. But now I was thinking this morning about how big a jerk I could be. Because I knew that Jill was going to speak at our little soiree today. She shuts the alarm off, goes back to bed. It was only a few minutes. I was very well aware by the sound of her breathing, she was asleep again. So I'm thinking to myself, how long do I want to let this go on? And it got to be 6, 7 minutes after 7. I thought, she's got to speak. I can't do this to her. So I woke her up. Okay. Usually it's the other way around. Usually she's the one bad for me to get up. So I got to take advantage of this. But I always look forward to this Christmas party because it's always a fun time. We always go a little nuts with the lights. I always love putting up lights. Come to find out, she's more nuts than I am.
Hey, guys, I think we lost the sound.
Actually, my entire screen went blank for a moment.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, mine did too.
I see Len on the move. Mhm.
It looks like everybody's muted, like the in-person attendees are muted.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do like meetings in parallel? Maybe we're talking over everybody in
Yeah,
person?
sure we could.
So are we muted in person?
I think so, yeah.
No, no.
Here.
I can't hear Thomas. know if
It's Len's other. Let me message Len.
Oh, did we lose a like laptop?
Yeah. The one that was doing the vocal.
I probably forgot to charge it, you know.
Can they hear us?
Probably.
Oh no.
Should we all
So,
sing?
well, just be careful what you
we
say about them.
We can sing in round.
But they're probably singing the 12 Days of Christmas right now anyway, so that's okay.
It's too bad we can't see Thomas's face. We can try to read lips here.
Yeah. Or you know what they should have is someone who signs.
Here comes Len.
Sign, you know, that would be cool.
A sign? Oh, like
Yeah, does signs like you know when the politicians speak and that. Oh. Is that me on the screen? Yeah, I guess.
And so she wouldn't like with a crazy guy like from Quiet Riot or other album covers. But then I got older and I started liking clothes and stuff. But I think the special wish was usually during the soirees of every Christmas. I got the special honor of speaking to all the adults. And I would do something different every year, but I always reminded them the real reason for Christmas was not the presents, but being present at Christmas, connecting with other people, not just your friends and family, but everyone. Be a little kinder to everyone. Reach out and give a helping hand if you could. You know, it usually would bring a tear to your eye because you're a little kid and it was great. But I'm going to try the same right now that I'm ignoring that. Red and green are the colors of Christmas, so I'm going to give red and green equal time. The key to Christmas in the holiday season or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah all have the same thing, hope. If we lose hope, it's very, very sad. I hope that we give hope to each other, to others, and we hold on to that all year long, no matter how bad things get. Remember, this life is a very, very short period of time compared to everything else. There's a great soiree awaiting us. Let's all live our lives knowing that we're not good without help. And to be the help for others when we can. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, folks at home, are we still, I don't know if they can't hear because they were talking. Oh, you can hear us now?
Yeah.
Can you now? All right, I didn't give Larry McKenzie a chance to talk, but stick around for post toasties. We're gonna get to reports. I thought you had signed up for Tech and Gesture Master because you're so good at it. So thanks for being our Zoom master, Mr. McKenzie. But it is 8:25, so I'll bring our Toastmaster of the day back up. I think we'll even skip timing reports. I think everyone qualified except for Thomas at the end.
I don't know. Oh, not everybody did. Okay. Anyway, we'll skip the vote in the interest of time, just giving everyone a chance to share and get back to Gerald. Thank you very much, Dr. Stevens.
Since there is a prize to be had for table topics, we will have to get a timer's report. So Len, if you could give us a quick report and then we'll get the word master's super quick report.
Can indeed, thank you. Apologies to our last table topic speaker. Our laptop died. It was running on batteries. We have 2 outlets here and 6 things to plug in, so didn't work as well as we thought today. We had Phil Russell going over at 2 minutes and 28 seconds, not even with the buffer. Joe Budnak qualified at 1:43, Jackie at 2:02, Steve at 1:54, and Thomas was over 3 minutes. So qualifying, you have Joe, Jackie, and Steve today. Mr. Toastmasters.
Very nice. Yeah, I'll just get the final word master report too while you're at it. Come on up. Yep. Final, yes. Even if you throw it in, it's okay.
Okay, the final, of course, the award goes to Kate because she reminded all 5 contestants. She used it 5 plus 1. Phil used it 3 times, Joe once, Jackie twice, Steve once, Thomas twice. And sorry, Chris, I missed yours, but you did too, Kate.
Let's roll right into the other reports here. So if I can get a report from our grammarian, Nancy Ferry.
Most kindly. In the interest of time, I'm going to say there were a lot of picturesque kind of speech that I enjoyed hearing. However, I have the best use for this ornament. All of the words that we use, like kinda, gonna, leaving the G's off, let's write them down. All of the words that are filler words, and so, but, words that are mispronounced, whatever our little hang up is in the grammar world, I suggest we write it out, put it on here. We glue this really, really tight, so these words will never come out again, and we hang it on our tree forever and ever. Just a suggestion.
I love it. It's a great suggestion. Artie, should I get an outmaster report? It's actually walking up, ready to go.
Thank you, Dr. Gerald. Fellow Toastmasters, I have a small list. Len, 1 so. I had 1 ah. Jen had 2 so's, 1 but. Mike Licotta, 2 ands and a but. David had 2 buts, and then you had a so, a pause, and a then. Eric had 2 so's, an ah, couple ums, and 5 buts. Jill, 2 buts. Kate, a so and an and. Steve, 2 buts. Thomas held line, an and a but. Jackie, 2 so's. Joe Budnak, 4 so's and 1 but. And I would just like to add that this Lockport YWCA would make a great sorry. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Can I get a few questions from our quizmaster, Anne Marie?
Yes, good morning once again, fellow Toastmasters. I'm actually kind of in shock because Christmas Eve is a big holiday for my family, and I just got a call that it was canceled because of COVID. My cousins have COVID. So I have 3 large pans of lasagna that I've been making for the last 2 or 3 days. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them, probably freeze them.
Taxi! Many of us can help you with that problem.
But I'll probably be eating it for the next 6 months. Anyway, I have a couple of questions here. I'll try to go quickly because I know we're out of time. There are actually 10 questions worth 10 points each, so we're done with score. Hopefully everybody gets an A+. So Beth Banks mentioned that her mom has an ornament every year and it has a year on it. So the one she brought, what year was it?
1988. 88, good job.
Excellent, 1988. Christmas cookies, Gerald was getting how many per day?
5.
Wow. Gerald, I hope you're into sharing. That's incredible. Chris Banks, what is her favorite activity to do?
Dancing.
Dancing, excellent. And Eric said that Beth gave him 2 suggestions for being successful for the semester. What were they? Anybody? Drinking water and reading the syllabus. That's a -10s there. Okay. What is Eric's major at Canisius?
Digital marketing, design, media.
Digital media art, excellent. And Jill Roaring, what was the title of her speech?
Santa versus Toastmasters, Santa Claus versus Toastmasters.
Excellent. That was a giveaway. And then Santa Claus, they've been tracking his progress for how many years total?
No, she's too bad, too thick there.
A long time.
And another -10, guys. You're not doing well. You're down. 1751 years. Is that correct, Jill?
Yes, it is.
1751. Okay. And Jen gave a suggestion to Chris in terms of some improvement for her speaking. What was it?
Stop rocking.
Stop the rocking. Excellent. Okay. And then let's see. Mike gave Eric a suggestion for his speech.
Filler words, drop them.
Drop the filler words.
Drop the filler. And
Add it as well.
add it and remember pauses. Okay. And Joe mentioned that he'd like to do what to some of the students?
Send them to summer camp.
What was it?
Turkish prison.
Turkish prison. I like that. That's very unique. And then Jackie's been in the club since when? 2004. 17 years. Excellent. Merry Christmas to everybody. And hopefully a safe and happy new year. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Anne Marie. And our last report is the General Evaluator, then we'll give out some presents. Tom, Moran, how did we do?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Before the meeting started this week, I was concerned as to how the Christmas meeting was going to be run. I was quite pleased this morning, and I think it goes to the Toastmaster for the organization and the running of the meeting this morning. Jerry did quite a good job. I like the way that he started the meeting by introducing all of the participants on Zoom and all of the participants in the audience, because a lot of times we do get us Zoomers get a picture of the attendees, but it's very hard to pick out who is there and who isn't there. So I like that. And I also, Gerald, I also liked how you acknowledged those Toastmasters who have passed, who are no longer with us. That was very nicely done and much appreciated. The evaluators today each did an excellent job. The speeches were all very good, and I find a good speech is hard to evaluate sometimes. The icebreaker was very nicely done, and Jen did an excellent job of evaluating that and giving some suggestions. Mike did a nice job. Mike is getting so good at evaluating these days. I thought he did an excellent job. And Dave Licotta did a nice job as well. So I think everything went well in the meeting, and we had I have a soiree to attend this evening, so I can't really hang around. I've got some stuff to work on. So I wish everyone Merry Christmas, a happy holiday, and we'll get together next year. What do you say? Good idea?
That's great, Tom. Thank you. So let's roll right into our winners. Our best evaluator, Jen Zappa. Probably via mail. We'll organize something. Our best table topics participant is Joe Budnak. So you know is Althea's Chocolates Truffle.
Whoa, wonderful.
Inspired by Anne Marie. 1 year, she had a Valentine's chocolate present. We're winning recipe there. And for our speakers, they all won today. So let's just go in order of who's in my head right now. Eric Schneider, coming down, get yours. And Jill as well. And Chris, might as well come down. Like they are going to be. Officer of the day to come up and close the meeting. Big time.
Much. As previously announced, the next week, and our Toastmaster was Jill. And did you come up with a theme? No.
No.
Okay, that's okay. If no one fills the role for Toastmaster the following week, I said I would take it. So I think she's gonna.
Oh, it's you.
It's me. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll come up with a very fun theme then. Without any further ado, since we're really almost past time, I'm going to go ahead and close it unless there's an announcement that needs to be done. Oh, we need a winner. Okay,
I'll read it. It is, the winner is 345137.
Early winner back.
Congratulations.
Don't forget to put your names on the back of your little things and put them in. Next week will be the drawing. Thank you.